welcome in to an extreme...
No!
Oh,
Wait!
what is this?
Wait! I made it! I made it! I made it, chill. Limping in. Just like I made it and limped in to the playoffs, baby! The playoffs! Let's go! Alright, I'm here.
We might have to do a little editing and post on that one to keep this PG-13 for our audience, but I'm glad you made it. Glad you're here. Glad you're part of the party as the season goes on. By the skin of your teeth, you're in.
Just barely. Just barely.
I was happy to see it. We got a lot to talk about. We've got playoff time. I mean, as we've alluded to here, it is finally well, for a few people it's been win or go home, but now every important game is win or go home, and this is where the stakes get high and money's on the line. So let's get into it. Alrighty. And then with our bracket, as you can see, I had to bring back one of the best playoff performers of all time, Mr. Dion. Get us all hyped up. It is playoff time, baby. And we've got some seeding to go over. All right. Unsurprisingly, our 1 seed, Lucas. Jet 2 Holiday. Nothing beats a Jet 2 Holiday except for one thing, which is me.
You're the only one. Only one so far this year.
Doubled him up. We'll talk about it. Wasn't pretty, but a win is a win, and we'll take it. Then we've got our 3 seed, Mr. Casey Carler, KK.
Held on to it. Just barely, but he held on to it.
Made it out alive. Got a little bit of a... I don't even know if it's an advantage, because if he wins, he'll play me. So, no matter what. And I don't know if Casey's beating me this year either. So, we'll see. 4 seed is Tanner. Also pretty much... Well, did he win this week?
Yes, he did, I think.
Well, secured that. We've got our
No,
5...
he lost to Sam. He lost to Sam.
He did lose to Sam, who was not able to catch him for the 4 seed, but does get our 5 seed, which leaves, last but not least, our 6 seed.
Boy! Just barely. Just barely. Went 0-2 this week, but just barely made it in.
The good news is Super Bowls don't care about what seed you start with in the playoffs. 6 seed can win it almost just as easy as a 1 seed. So you gave yourself a shot, you're in, and then you get to see what happens.
That's all I can ask for, baby.
All right, let's talk about how these matchups played out and how we got where we got. So I talked about it. Got Lucas again this week. We talked quite a bit lately about Tanner's 79-point win. And I got to say, gotta be honest here, can't really claim to be that much better when I've got an 80-point win. But when it comes against the 1 seed, a guy who's been dominating all year, it does help you feel a little bit better about it, especially when it helped me get a game in our picks.
Yeah, this one really hurt me for picks. I thought going into the Monday night game, we're going to get a dub. We're going to gain a game on Ryan. We're going to go in just down by 1. And obviously, Jalen Hurts just horrible performance. -1 from a quarterback is absolutely brutal. But, good on you, Ryan. Good on you.
And it was the only way that I was able to salvage what was a very ugly week from my team as well. They started off hot. I mean, I think T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, and Devin Neal, and maybe Jonathan Taylor, including that as well, all scored on their team's first possession with upwards of 7 minutes left in the first quarter. All those guys had touchdowns. And of them, I mean, they had good games for me. It wasn't their fault that I didn't have a good week, but they didn't do a whole lot beyond that. So it was kind of disappointing to get off to such a hot start and not get a big week, especially from Jonathan Taylor, who only got, I think, 3 or 4 more points the rest of the game. Bijan did not play great, and then the Chiefs let me down in more ways than one that I do not want to talk about at all. had so many chances to win that game and blew every last one of them. But was just enough to squeak by, get a little momentum heading into the bye week so we don't come out too rusty next week.
Yep. Like I said, I mean, -1 for Hurts. I mean, even Hampton did what he was supposed to do for me on Monday night. He got in the end zone. Um, but for me, I mean, because I picked Lucas, but
Yeah.
Hurts couldn't get it done. He had multiple chances. I think if AJ Brown catches the one pass, um, at the end towards the end with for like the touchdown, and the Eagles win, I think this game might have looked slightly different. I don't know. It could have been tied. You might have still won by one, but I mean, Hurts did throw the interception to end overtime too, so that's another -2. So that AJ Brown drop probably maybe
Save me.
helps Lucas win.
Yep, it was a close one. Good game, Lucas. Even if we don't meet in the Super Bowl, I get to say that I owned you this year, despite your historic season. So, better luck next time we play each other. And then for Cub and Casey, we both picked Cub. Both got it right. Both got our game there. Cub really rode a strong performance from Josh Allen to end off his regular season here and head into the losers bracket. But it's always good to end on a win, give you a little bit of optimism coming into next year. Rest of the team, Brandon Aubrey, we talked about that. Really set him up for success in the Thursday night game and getting 25 points, 24 points out of your kicker. Josh Jacobs looks like he's back to being Josh Jacobs. But the most disappointing part of Cup season has to be Justin Jefferson. To miss the playoffs like that, be pretty close to being on the, 11-17 versus Clayton. You ended up 12-16.
13 and 15.
13-15. So 2 games off the playoffs to have your first round pick. Really, really struggle in the stretch of the season at the end there with McCarthy and Brosmer for that one game. Has to hurt.
Yeah, I will say when you look at Casey's team to put up 105, he's kind of been struggling coming down the stretch. I know this is still a loss, but he was able to snag Watson, who looks good. Bucky's back; he looked fine, even though they lost to the Saints. And then Etienne continues to roll for Jacksonville, and with Joe Burrow back, he's got to be feeling okay about Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and I didn't mention T. Higgins got concussed this week, or woke up on Monday with concussion-like symptoms. So he is going to likely miss this week on that Sunday to Sunday turnaround. Hopefully be back when I play in 2 weeks, but that should give some extra opportunities for Jamar this coming week, which will really matter for Casey since he is in a playoff game now. Alrighty, then Sam versus Tanner. We both picked Sam. Both eked out a win here. Sam secures his playoff spot. Tanner secures the 4th spot here. Sam, strong performance from Puka again was good to see. Had at least one down week, but hadn't been going quite as huge as he had really early in the season. And then solid games from Dak and Achane. Achane did get hurt. I don't know if I've looked into any news on that or if there's anything out that's talking about him.
I mean, at first when I saw it, I thought it was a leg injury, but it sounds like a rib injury, which probably good news for Sam, I would guess, instead of bad news. But I mean, you never know. Ribs can be weird too. They might need to take a week off, 2 weeks off, and also if you're concerned about a punctured lung, I mean that'd be another thing. But as of now, I haven't seen anything saying he was um, dealing with anything too major. But again, you never know. Sometimes right after the games, um, you know, the extent of the real injury.
Yeah, especially for a running back, that could be something that it does really matter when they're taking so many hits. And then on Tanner's side, RJ Harvey looks like he's for real. He's been upwards of 20 points, I believe, 2 weeks in a row. This week he actually looked pretty good. I don't think it was just on the back of the 2 touchdowns that he had the week before. Jordan Love played well against pretty poor Chicago defense. And then A.J. Brown did come back out and get 100 yards, I believe, maybe right on the dot. So promising to see some of that for Tanner outside of his disappointments from the Cowboys that were early in the week.
Yeah, and I will say, I think I saw something on Twitter and it said AJ Brown is the wide receiver one over the last 3 weeks for PPR formats. I don't know exactly, everybody's PPR bonuses, can be slightly different, but um, I mean,
Has to be up
getting
there.
hot at the right time for Tanner's AJ Brown and RJ Harvey, like you said.
Yep, and he's playing. So, do we get a rematch of this week? We do.
Yes, this is a rematch game, and it was our closest game this week. So, I mean, it'll be interesting for sure. Hopefully, Sam's able to have a fully healthy squad, because this one was a good one, and I would like to see um, them battle it out fully healthy again.
Yeah, it really came down to the Monday night game too, so could be interesting. All right, Scott and Joey. Joey hit with a little bit of a heartbreaker here. Um, so you went 0-2, Sam went 2-0. So Joey could have taken your spot had he been able to put together a good week. I picked Joey. It was really, really disappointing to see Daniel Jones get hurt pretty early in that Colts game, and go out with torn Achilles. So he'll be done for the year. He was having a nice year, and I think he was really helping Jonathan Taylor be great, just by being a competent quarterback. It'd be tough to see Anthony Richardson supporting that level of play and being a big threat in the passing game to maybe clear that box out. But that was bad for Joey, and then just didn't really get much production outside of JSN, who had another good game, but is going to be not a factor in the playoffs, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Joey would have had to go 2-0, so even with the injury, I believe he would have had to score.
There were some low
Ooh,
scoring weeks. Seemed like 105, over
uh,
105 ish.
maybe he would have beat Scott because we had Bo at 113, Sam at 121, Tanner at 1. Oh no, he would have had to score 106. So, I mean, Daniel Jones would have had to been quite the difference maker there to make up that amount of points, but not unheard of. So it does suck. I've been dealing with injuries all year, and even this week with CeeDee Lamb going out in the start of the second half. So it's no fun. Sucks for Joey. He did a great job trying to get his team back from. I mean, I think it was like 1-9 or
Mm-hmm.
2-8 or something pretty ridiculous to have a fighting chance. He just couldn't get it done. Leading into this week is the big thing.
And Scott ends it off strong too as one of our eliminated team. Well, fairly strong. Gets a win. 95 points might be one of his better weeks on the year, to be honest. Uh, so about as strong as he could hope to finish, with some good, decent games from Kyron. I don't know if he got 2 touchdowns like you called. Um, Caleb threw a pick to end that Green Bay game. I know that, but other than that, didn't do anything too special.
Yeah. Um, Kyron had only one touchdown, so I was wrong by one. I knew he was going to score. Um, I mean, I think the biggest thing here for me in terms of what helped me this week was, Joey obviously putting up a low number, but I got to give some credit to, the Denver defense helped keeping, Brock Bowers and Genti in check. I mean, obviously the injury helps, but I hate to see that. And then Cincinnati was able to kind of pull ahead early in that Buffalo game, and James Cook wasn't used quite as much as I thought he was going to be, especially in the snow. But they were kind of playing from behind, which I think helped me as well.
Yeah, and then pulled out the win. All right, and then I'm gonna let you take this one because it helped. It had direct implications for you, even if you didn't win.
Yeah, so um, honestly, wasn't that mad about how my team performed. There's a couple low lights there. Tyler Warren, Mitchell, and Cleveland's defense. I'll get into Judkins. I mean, he had the opportunities, just couldn't get it done. But Warren, in a game that they were losing, the Daniel Jones injury, and them having to play Riley Leonard. And I thought Riley Leonard played a decent game. Kind of hoping he's able to play this week. They did sign Philip Rivers, which is awfully interesting. But I'm kind of hoping Riley Leonard's able to play this week. I know he banged up his knee, but didn't give the ball a lot to Tyler Warren. Mitchell, after a huge breakout week, didn't do anything, so he probably will not be in the starting lineup this week for the playoffs. And then Cleveland's defense against Tennessee allowed 31 and got the loss, which is absolutely disappointing. I loved that matchup. Um, CD did get hurt, and he did have a good week. I'm hearing good things out of his camp so far. We kind of talked about it in the last episode. It's a Thursday to Sunday instead of a Sunday to Sunday, which helps me a little bit there. So hoping CD's feeling good enough to go. But um, I did pick myself instead of Bo. I did have Bo pretty late, and then I switched it. Ryan did have Bo, so he got one on me there. So that's the thing that I guess hurts most about this game for me this week.
Yeah, and I was kind of rooting. We talked about I was rooting for Bo just to kind of sneak into the playoffs. Did almost everything he needed to do. Well, he did everything he really could control win wise. He just didn't score quite enough points to pass Sam, and then Sam got the job done against Tanner, so that eliminated him right off the bat. But like we talked about, Jahmyr Gibbs having a big week. Then Matthew Stafford came back against Arizona, threw a bunch of touchdowns. Saquon had a nice long touchdown run last night to get Bo over 100 and get him a nice week to end the year. But sadly, he will also be headed to the losers bracket. With that, our picks entering the playoffs. I get one game on Clayton to take my lead to 3. Now you are getting into crunch time because there's 2 games this week. There'll be 2 more games the following week. So you got 5 games left. Am I doing
Yeah,
that right?
yeah. So yeah, you are. I will say. So I honestly thought going into the Monday night game, I was going to gain one on Ryan and be down one headed into the playoffs. Lucas's team let me down bad. Not even mad about mine and Bo's game. I was happy to see Bo have a good week. Was sort of pulling for him. It would have been cool if he would have made it, but I mean, like I said, I mean, kind of was pulling for myself as well. But when saw Joey was doing bad, I thought, who knows? Maybe Bo gets in. Because if Bo got in, that meant I automatically was in. Um, so that one doesn't hurt me as much. The Lucas one, I mean, hurts getting -1 when he needed to get 8 points or 7 points. He needed to get 7 points. Is
Yep.
absolutely brutal. Would have gotten me within one game headed into playoff time, which, that would
Makes
have
a big
been,
difference with only 5
yeah,
left.
that would have definitely made it doable. I don't know how doable it'll be right now.
Yeah, you're going to have to get on a hot streak here. Alrighty, so because it is the playoffs, we got a little special something to give a shout out to each of our 2025 playoff teams because it's a lot of hard work to get here. You got to keep the team running all year, deal with injuries, deal with, you know, people just playing poorly, not living up to their draft status, people getting picked up on the waivers for $145. There's a lot you got to go through. So we'll start with our bottom playoff teams, starting with the 6th seed himself, who I will let take this. He is the patched up playoff underdog.
Yeah, I mean, as I've talked about all year, been battling injuries. That's what I've been battling. To overcome that, I don't think I was in a playoff spot until 2 weeks ago. So that's pretty late to get into a playoff spot. I don't think I was touching one all season up into that. Dealt with the injuries for the most part, were pretty healthy. Um, had to kind of highlight that in my meme thing and my poster. But very excited to be here. When you look at, how I got here, it wasn't pretty early. Um, if you look at week 1, loss. Week 2, heartbreak loss to Ryan. I finally got my first win in week 4 against Tanner. But then we kind of hit some strides in the middle of the season, and that's what led me to the playoffs. I won week 7, week 9, week 10, week 11, and week 12. But I made it very stressful on myself. I was in control of my own destiny the last 2 weeks and ended up going 1-3 in those or my bad, the last 2 weeks. I ended up going 1-3, which couldn't have made it any more stressful for myself. I was sweating it out this weekend, but um, as you saw earlier, I'm limping in to the playoffs, and that's just a figure of speech right now. The brace is actually not even mine. I'm fully healthy. Um, in real life, but had to do that for the pod.
Which is much more important, obviously.
Yes.
We
Yes.
All right, then our 5 seed, Sam.
Yeah, when
Right at
you look at
500.
Sam, yeah, perfectly 500, perfectly dangerous. You saw him this past week put up 120. He's able to do it.
And we see how he got it there. His week 1 win over you. He has been pretty up and down. It seems like Sam's been sitting right around 500 all year. He's always been right around that 5-6 spot. Never much higher, never much lower. Just because he's been rattling off win, loss, win, loss. Did beat me in a week 4 game that I still am upset about when I scored 132 points and he got 140. Um, but then had a rough stretch where had a couple losses to Lucas and Joey when he was hot, and then secured the playoff spot with this past week. This win over Tanner by 3 points, got to 14 and 14. We told him that would get it done, and he did what he needed to.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we've got our 4 seed, Tanner, Chaos candidate.
Yeah, Tanner's team. The poster has to do with the fact that when you look at his season, I mean, there's the leprechaun for a little bit of luck. There's the roller coaster because it was a roller coaster ride with Tanner. He started off pretty early with some immediate drama. Week 1, lost by 2. Week 3, lost by 4. Then he got absolutely destroyed by you
Sure
in
did.
week 6. Then it was a mixed bag through the middle of the year. He had a loss, he had a win, he had a loss, he had a win. That was, 4 games in a row. Then he did get a little lucky, we must say. He had a 79-75 win, which, as we talked about, was maybe one of the lowest ones. I know you just had an 81, but 79, when it starts with the 7 and you win, it's pretty incredible. And then also a 97-82 win. I mean 97, I believe, actually was able to put him pretty well in control of his playoff destiny in week 12, and then he did close out the year week 13 to clinch against me with a 113-101 win. His team has looked better in the last couple weeks, week 13 and 14, but 11 and 12 weren't so great. So it's been a roller coaster ride with Tanner. There hasn't been a lot of consistency, and that's why he's the chaos candidate.
Yeah, he got his high. He was definitely in the top 3, nearly, pretty consistently near the beginning of the year, and then dropped out for a while and lost ground in that middle stretch run of the season. All right, I'm gonna let you go back to back here with Casey because I'm gonna take next. So he is the survivor.
Yeah, when you got to look at Casey there, wearing a Jamar Chase jersey for Jamar Chase, but the survivor started off right. He had 2 wins, week 1 and 2. I believe that led him to a 3-1 start. I think he went 1-1 week 1 with the 99, but then he continued to be hot. Week 4, big win. Week 5, big win. Week 6, he beat me when I had a horrible week. Week 7, big win. You're thinking Casey's the powerhouse. I think we were already talking about, I think maybe Casey has one of the best teams.
We
He was
were.
ranked one of the highest teams, I think, by Fantasy Pros and ESPN. And then we got into the mid to late season. You blew him out in week 10. He had a horrible loss where he scored 76 in week 11. Got destroyed by Lucas in week 12. He did win against Scott in week 13 to kind of secure his playoff spot, but he only scored 85. And then just this past week, he had another loss. So not the finish you'd like to see going into the playoffs, but he did survive and he did make it.
He did make it. Yeah, we were talking about Casey early on, doing all of his winning despite the Joe Burrow injury that affected Jamar Chase so much when Jake Browning was playing. And once Flacco came back, there was a lot of hope, but that's really when his team started to fall off. Once Joe Flacco started playing, and even into these Burrow weeks now, these last 2 weeks, hasn't looked awesome. Alrighty. Now for our 2 seed, yours truly, the anti-hero. It makes more sense in one more person here in a moment, but got a little T-Swizz action, and of course a little bit of respect to my boy Cam Scattaboo with the 44s around here. She's rocking it. Got the Kryptonite there, and my season started off great. I started 6-0 before that loss to Sam. Started the night it brought me to 7-1. I was in first place with points for quite a while. I think at least getting into like week 8ish or so, when I've been firing off wins, both in terms of record and both in terms of points. And then had a little bit of trouble. Cam Scattaboo got hurt. That was definitely a turning point in the season. Anytime top 10 running back at the time goes down, you're going to have a little bit of a learning curve to get back into a solid lineup without him. But we turned it around. Definitely had the 2 good wins over Lucas, which makes me feel great about my championship odds. And then had some really high scoring weeks, including last week, which I don't think is listed here. But to feel really good about the team going in. There is some more non-direct injury news that we talked about with Daniel Jones that's going to affect Jonathan Taylor somehow, who has been the workhorse of my team. And it'll be interesting to see whether they just can't run the ball because everyone is gearing up to stop him, or if he's just unstoppable, because they're definitely going to try to lean more heavily on him going forward.
Yeah, I must say, after this week, you must feel pretty good. You have a bye right now. Um, I'll be curious what your lineup looks like in week 15. I think you're lucky that you don't have to make any decisions right now for or I'll be interested to see what your team looks like in week 16. I'll be interested. I think you're lucky that you don't have to make any decisions for this week.
I am very glad I don't play this week with T. Higgins out. Marv is going to be questionable because he's been questionable for the last 2 months. Um, I think that's mainly it. Devin Neal might lose some value if Kamara comes back, but we'll see on that. I am glad that I have the week to get a little bit more clarity there.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you're going to start Jonathan Taylor, pretty much no matter what. But interested to see what the Colts do there. If Granddad Rivers gets in, if Riley Leonard is good to go, or if
If
Tyler
they
Warren
bring
is
back
able to,
Anthony Richardson,
play quarterback this week.
is Anthony Richardson not going to play at all? Is that the
I believe he is can't play. I believe his orbital fracture on his eye is keeping him out.
interesting? Interesting. Well, with that, we've got our 1 seed. Clayton, I will let you take it because I don't want to hear
Yeah,
about him.
so Lucas, we have the Superman season, W's all over the place. When you look at his season in general, he pretty much beat up on any opponent he faced, just like Superman would. I mean, going into week 1, he almost doubled me. Obviously, I had a horrible week. Bo, my bad. Almost doubled up Bo. He crushed Casey week 3, crushed me in week 8, crushed Sam with 164 in week 9, crushed Tanner.
Went on that run
Pretty
where he
much,
was scoring like 130 every week.
yeah. I mean, you can see in the graphic alone, he has 160 plus weeks showing. He was kind of one of the reasons Joey did not make the playoffs. He kind of hurt Joey a lot in week 13, but in week 4, that 1 point victory right now, it was a big game because that was a 2-0 versus an 0-2. So if Joey would have had 107 that week, he'd be in the playoffs. I mean, assuming he still makes all the same moves that he did.
Right.
I don't know week 4 if that would have affected any of that, but huge little implication, a little factoid there. But as we saw in the last graphic, Lucas does have some kryptonite, Ryan.
He's beatable. I'm telling you, people. I've been telling you all year to beat him.
But to cap it off one more time, he did destroy the whole league in points for by almost 200 points. So Ryan does show that there is a little kryptonite to Lucas's Superman, but
Tough to beat a guy.
What more would you want than that? You got playoff fantasy football, you got the playoff races in the NFL. We got storylines all over our league. You got storylines all over the NFL. It's amazing.
It is a great time of the year. You get in the winter, and it starts to get a little cold outside. You can just feel football in the air. Some intense football. College football playoff just got set. We're ready to go here.
Yeah, I
Alrighty.
mean, real quick, favorite fantasy storyline going into the playoffs? Shoot,
For me, for like my
off the
team
top
or
of the
just in
cuff.
general.
Just in general, what are you're curious about how it's going to shake out? A player, a team?
For me, I am very curious to see how I've leaned on the Chiefs in fantasy for years and years and years. Now that they're no longer in the playoff race directly, or as they have to have all these different games. They have to have it. They've had to have the last couple, and they have not shown up to the occasion. At least winning wise in fantasy against the Cowboys, they were all right. But for me personally, I'll be interested to see how they handle playing possibly meaningless games if they do get eliminated, or do or die games if they actually make it, rattle off a few wins here. For somebody else, just how the injuries play out. How CeeDee Lamb comes back, how T comes back. There's got to be some other injuries that I'm missing, but just who's got full teams and how much the injuries play a factor going forward.
I like it. For me, in fantasy, I'm curious if the top three teams can find their stride. I know you and Lucas both had pretty nice week 13s, I believe. I don't
Yep.
remember
Lucas did good too.
Case. Yeah, I don't remember Casey. Oh, he only had 85. So I'm curious how those three teams kind of look. Obviously, your team's dealing with some injury stuff. Lucas with his worst game of the season. Be curious to see who he throws in at quarterback. Obviously, he has a couple weeks to decide that. But that is my fantasy thing. I think some of us towards the bottom might be a little bit hotter right now, but I do think once, in the NFL, once all these teams get out of like, there's no more bye weeks, it's almost like another switch kind of clicks. There's like the fantasy playoffs, and then, the last 4 weeks of the NFL, it's the playoff races. So there's some switches that get clicked on there. So, not saying, just because you didn't perform the last week, it's foreshadowing for the future. That's my fantasy thing. Curious which of the top three teams doesn't make it. I guess my money's probably on Casey right now. That's who I play. And then in the NFL, honestly, the AFC playoff race might be the most interesting playoff race we've had in years. I know the Patriots and the Broncos are up there, 1-2. I think the Broncos got the tiebreaker on us right now. But you had the Colts up there for a while, but now they're dealing with the Daniel Jones injury, and they're just falling off. You don't have the Chiefs in a, like top 1 or 2 spot, which is wild considering the last 9 years. The Bills also are not leading the AFC East, which is wild because they think they've led that the last like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, 6 or 7 years. That's interesting. I mean, Burrow with his injury, the Bengals aren't in there. Lamar Jackson's not in there right
The
now.
top four. I mean, the top four guys you consider in the AFC. Really, I mean, the only one that's feeling confident about even making the playoffs is Josh Allen.
Yeah. So, um, I mean, the AFC playoff race to me is the most interesting it's been in a long time. I mean, I could almost say since I've been alive, maybe the year that, Mac Jones kind of made some noise for New England the year after Brady. It was kind of like, what's the AFC going to look like without Brady? But even before that, I mean, Brady didn't dominate the AFC, his last year in New England. So this to me has got to be maybe the most interesting AFC playoff race in, some may argue, a decade, 2 decades.
Yeah, it'll be a fun 4 weeks.
But with that, I think we got some fun stuff planned for our next episode. Some more playoff special stuff. We're only going to be picking and looking at really 2 games. So we got to fill that time with something. I got some ideas. I know Ryan's got some ideas. So make
Yep.
sure after you watch this one, you subscribe, you hit the noti bell because our next one is going to be a banger too.
It is going to be a banger. And that's a guarantee from me and from this one here. We got a sleepy puppy to deal with right now. But we're going to sit here and we're going to get something planned out for you guys.
Love it. Love it. And, we'll see if anybody does anything fun on the waivers. I know Lucas is probably looking at new quarterbacks. Some defenses might go. So we'll have that maybe to talk about. But, we'll get into the matchups, for sure next week. Hopefully no one has any injuries, no injuries in practice.
Yep.
Hopefully the guys that are hurt are able to, heal and get better. T. Higgins, C.D. Lamb, Riley Leonard maybe for the Colts. I don't know what they're going to do, but hopefully no injuries this week, and then
Definitely want to
get
see
ready.
full teams. Let's get going.
Get ready. It's
All right.
it's that time.
It is that time. All right, boys. Well, with that, I think we're out. Good luck on the waivers, and we will see you all on We'll think about Thursday. We'll see probably on Sunday.
Love it.
All right, later.